Я подтверждение ситуации передаю настройку. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, AK lead heads, we are back with season 2 of the Talking Lead AK Korner, and this is episode 8. And we're going to be talking about the Galil this episode. So, Ma Nishma, which is what's up in Israeli. Ma Nishma, everybody. Joining us today, we've got a whole room full of experts and AK lovers. I'll start from my left to my right with our presenting sponsor, Century Arms. We've got our good buddy Jason, Director of Sales over there at Century and all things Century with the Canic, the Red Army Standard, the U.S. Palm. They got it going on. So welcome in, Jason.
Thanks.
And Jason's been on the show before. He's been on several times. We had you on at SHOT Show. So you guys go back to our SHOT Show episodes. We had Jason on. And then also from Century, we've got our good buddy, no stranger to the show. You guys know him. You love him. It's our buddy Andrew.
Howdy, Marty. How you doing today?
Also known as Drew. Doing good, buddy. Thanks for joining us. And everybody, I guess all you guys are social distancing. You're all working from home. Has anybody started your office work back yet?
Not yet. Nope. No, still at the house as usual.
Still quarantined, huh? Okay. Also joining us for this special episode of the Galil, we thought we might get somebody on here who knows something about Galils. So we went to the company themselves, IWI. We've got Jeremy Gresham. He's the Director of Sales and Marketing with IWI. Jeremy?
What's going on, guys? How are y'all?
Yeah, appreciate you joining us. I know you're limited on time, so we've only got Jeremy here for a short period. So we're going to try to rush and get him in and get his knowledge in. And then a visitor from last season, season 1, we've got our good buddy Marco Vorobiev, who is the Executive Director of U.S. Arm Nord. He's also an author. He's written a couple of books specifically on the AK-47, the history of the AK, and countless articles in numerous gun publications. So, Marco, welcome in again, buddy.
Nice to be here again.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, man. I was very pleased to hear that you had time to join us, especially for this episode. And you and I had a lot of time during SHOT Show. We rode the bus together to Range Day, and I didn't realize how much of a historian just on firearms that you were. So, really looking forward to this.
I'm embarrassed even sometimes. I'm people call other people geeks and nerds and stuff. I'm a historian nerd.
You're a gun historian nerd, huh?
Not only gun, but then you kind of military history and stuff, and then just kind of like a bookworm when it comes down to something. And there's a white spot, a gray spot on something that I don't know. I pick as many books as I can to read it and find out about it. It's kind of embarrassing to the point.
Well, I think our listeners are going to love it and appreciate it. So you're welcome here, always.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
If you guys didn't get a chance, make sure you go back to last episode. We talked about zeroing your AK-47. And we had our good buddy Brian with Occam Defense Solutions, who has joined us every episode except this one. He's fallen ill, and it's not the COVID. He doesn't have the COVID. He's just got some sort of stomach thing that's jacked him up, so he won't be joining us this episode, but he will be sorely missed. But let's get into it, guys. Let's talk about it. So, Jeremy.
Yep.
IWI, formerly IMI, when the Galil first came out, you guys were known as IMI. Talk about the history of your company.
Mm-hmm. IMI, been in business just over 80 years now. In 2005, a gentleman who was part of IMI purchased it and founded IWI. His name is Sammy Kitsoff. And he started what is SK, and they own Meprolite, U.S. and international, a company called Camaro, which is see-through wall technology type systems, and a big shipyard corporation. So we go in and rent ports and build shipyards, and then also IWI. In 2013, IWI US was founded, and we've been off to the races ever since. It's kind of the quick skinny of it for the most part, but yeah.
Very cool. So I want to talk about the history, and the reason we're talking about the Galil is this is a variant of the AK-47. So that's why this fits into the Talking Lead AK Korner. In case some of you are wondering, why are we talking about the Galil? Let's kind of start off with some history. And Marco, let's get your take on the history of how the Galil came to be.
All right, it's definitely the pedigree of a gun is hard to argue about. It definitely takes its roots in the AK stable, so to speak. However, there's been development work done, and somebody who would, accustomed to AK platform would look at it and see the differences that Galil actually sports, as compared to the standard AK design. And the history was back in the, and this is, correct me if I'm wrong there, Jeremy, I guess, as far as the wars, all these little wars that Israel fought back in the late 50s and early 60s, through the 60s, pretty much. And I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken, was Six-Day War, when it was on Sinai and against the Egyptians and stuff, who at the time were armed with FALs. FN Falls type rifles. And although a formidable gun, and at that time a lot of countries wielded those platforms, it was also found that it kind of was capricious in the way of an operation in the desert type of dusty kind of environment. At the time, also Israeli Defense Force was consisting of a lot of conscripts who had a limited time to train or whatnot. But however, it wasn't, in the right set of circumstances, FNFAL is a formidable gun. It was a good gun, a reliable a viable platform. However, it wasn't to the satisfaction of a U.S. Israeli Defense Force. And then at the same time, they captured thousands upon thousands of Egyptian Soviet-made AK-47s and the new AKMs as well, AKM rifles, right. Thousands of them. And then they went through, after the war was over, and they went through the testing. They wanted to evaluate the enemy's armament and stuff, and they went through the AKs and tested and stuff, and they found that they were a little bit more wieldable, I guess, easy to wield and
more
operate.
mobile.
They're mobile. They're shorter. They don't kick back. They fire the intermediate cartridge and so on and so on. So I guess contest was issued. The tender was issued to produce domestically designed and developed weapon. And several, of course, the guy who created the Uzi participated in that. Somebody else, some very well-respected gun designers and manufacturers.
Even the U.S. had a submission. They had the Stoner 63 and the M16A1.
Exactly. In fact, they just then start providing the M16s and platform rifles because the money was coming from the U.S. as well. So, but nevertheless, apart from that, the Israelis also developed their own platform, and where they found it was in Finland. And the Finland at the time with their Valmet gun RK-62, that they kind of went through the same process. They wanted to find the most reliable gun for themselves, for their military after the World War II, and they chose the AK. And, of course, they didn't go into the Russians, although they bought a lot of Soviet weaponry directly from Soviet Union, such as the PKM machine guns, SVD rifles, BTR-60 and 70 APCs, BMPs, and so on and so on. For some reason, with the gun, they went to Polish defense industries, and actually got a license from Poland to manufacture the AK-47 platform. But at the time, the AK-47 was already in the way out, and new modern AKM modernized gun was already in. Mm-hmm. So the Poles were, you want the license for some old thing, so here it is. And of course the Finns, they did what the Finns do best. They took a gun and they improved it improved it. They changed it to suit their needs, as far as like lightening up the receiver, milled receiver, making a better barrel, so they claim it's a better barrels, and a few other things.
Mm-hmm. The sights being one of the major things.
The sights, the flash hider, and other things like tubular, ridiculous looking stock and things like that. But
Jeremy, feel free to jump in anytime.
Oh, am I doing good? Thanks, Jeremy. But do correct me, please, because oftentimes I might wonder to.
You could not have said it better. And my puppy's barking at me now.
Concurs. Your puppy concurs.
All right. Well, thank you, puppy. And so anyway, the Finns and the Israelis, and I'm not familiar. Maybe Jeremy can comment on the what type of deal it was. But the very first Galil rifles, and of course, whenever somebody buys a license and starts manufacturing the guns, they also consider the needs of their military, and they'll make those changes. Like they immediately improved on the stock, for example, right? So the design of a stock. And anyway, so. But however, the very first Galils were actually built on RK62 receivers and using the Finnish machinery and tooling that they bought from Finns. And then from then on, they developed their own manufacturing of the receivers, and basically that's how the gun was born. And then maybe Jeremy can comment on the further development of Galil from that point on into modern day. So, and from what I understand that IWI still brings the newly manufactured Galils today into the States.
Or the ACEs. The ACEs.
Right. One important thing to note, the difference between the Finnish RC62 gun versus the Galil. Obviously, the Israelis adopted the 223 Remington or 5.56 by 45 NATO round, and so from onset, the Galils were designed to fire that particular round. Versus the Finns actually adopted 7.62 by 39 Russian M43 round. So that's the biggest, part of development that Israelis had to overcome to create a gun. And that's all I have to say about that.
Okay. That was a pretty good history there. That was good.
Yeah, so the only thing that I've to add to that from talking with people that I've talked to, the elders there at IWI, is that really they originally wanted the weapon system in 308, but felt that the increased recoil and the limited magazine capacity, that they felt like they were undergunned against any particular entity that would try to go into Israel.
Hold your mic up if you could.
All right, that's that one. So they decided to opt for the 7.62 by 39, but then still built it in 308 and built it into their sniper system, and then adopted the 5.45 and the 5.56, and they've even done 30 carbine in various cases. So, but yeah, I mean that's verbatim the history of the Galil, and they continue to build on that, and then they updated it to the Galil ACE with some other features, left side charging handle, moving it from the right side, thumb release or thumb activated safety, right hand shooter, but still kept the left hand safety, typical AK safety, and some other ideas some there. But and then
you went with the polymer also on the ACE. You went from full metal production to a hybrid.
Yeah, so you'd be shocked how hard it is to actually get certain types of metal into Israel. Even today, there are countries that just refuse to sell to Israel, and some of that is metal producing companies. So polymer is one of the things that Israel can get their hands on fairly quickly, but they don't compromise on the integrity of the build. So, yeah, I mean, we have purchased machines here in the U.S. for IWI US and had to sign agreements that these machines could never go to Israel. And it has nothing to do with export or anything in that nature. It's simply just because they're a Jewish sovereign nation.
Huh. That's interesting. Now, another thing that you guys added on the ACE, the modern Galil, is the little cover that goes over the
like the dust cover
the
type
dust
thing,
cover,
or the top rail.
Talk about that.
Israel's got a lot of desert, so their mindset was, how do we take what, the M4 or the M16 that they saw that had some type of cover, dust cover, and cover up the action to ensure no debris gets inside of there, in their mind, making the weapon system more sustainable in various environments and things of that nature. Seems to work pretty well on the ACE. I think as of right now, there's just over 50 countries running the ACE system as their primary weapons system.
Oh, wow.
So, and the Philippines just purchased another 30,000 of the H21N, which is our 5.56 AR-15 magazine machine gun. So,
and here in the United States, there's several law enforcement departments, the Ventura County Sheriff's Department's running them.
Yep.
You probably have several more. This is just what I'm seeing on Wikipedia here.
Yeah, we've got quite a few running them. A lot of near the border, right? Mm-hmm. You get closer to Mexico, Texas area, running the AK variant style weapon systems in general, but also wanting that 5.56 caliber and, let's face it, 5.56 magazine compatibility and ammunition cost.
Yeah.
So
is it pretty much compatible with your standard 5.56 AR-15 magazine, 223 5.56?
Yes, sir.
So your mag pulls and all those will work in it.
Yep. So we ship with the Mag 571, the Gen 3 PMag 30 round. That's what we ship with. Okay. And then there's videos of me running D60s, Surefire 100s. Pretty much anything and everything that'll go in there. That'll run in an M4. It'll run in that one.
That's cool. Well, I found this interesting too. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Rajneesh Purim Peace Force back in the 80s. They were kind of like was that Waco, Texas guy?
Oh yeah, it was that like yogi cult thing in California.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they actually was in Oregon.
Oh, Oregon. That's right. They moved to Oregon. Yeah, they had a bunch of Galils and Uzis and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of a interesting claim to fame for the Galil there, as those guys were rocking those back in that day.
So the Galil, I mean, just talking about, if we're going to talk about other people that use it, it's really prolific in sketchy places. You'll notice all over in Central America, South America, all the, Nicaragua, the Sandinistas, all those people bought Galils. The Israelis have always been, big exporters of firearms, and they're not bound to some of the laws that the U.S. is when it comes to exportation. So a lot of the big 80s drug cartels, Galils were huge, as were, FARC and some of the other people in Colombia. A lot of people had Galils. I think Myanmar has Galils that they built off pattern. There's several other, less than savory regimes that have used them. Of course, the South Africans made their own version of the Galil as well. I don't know if that was actually licensed by the Israelis or not, but it was certainly a Galil. So yeah, you'll definitely find Galils wherever you find sketch. Galils seem to pop up.
Well, it's like the AK-47. They kind of get that bad rap as being the enemy's gun, but
well, no, the Galils are on both sides. I mean, you look at Colombia. The police were using them. FARC was using them. The drug cartels were using them. Everybody had Galils.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of like those sketchy organizations like FARC and stuff. They would ambush resupply convoy or make a little assault on some kind of the store, base or whatever, or supply base, and they arm themselves with the stuff. So that's why you get them on both sides. But,
yeah.
But South Africa, incidentally, is actually making them under license from Israel.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was licensed or not licensed. I didn't know. I just it's pretty much a Galil.
It is a Galil. It's like to the T. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically a Galil for all intents and purposes.
The other thing, of course, if we're going to talk about Galils, we've got to talk about American Galils. We've been bringing in parts kits from Israel for years now. Of course, Century Arms, we made our Galil for a long time. Jason, when was the last time we had our Galil available?
It's been a while. Yeah, it's been probably 6 or 7 years. We got a big slug of those part sets for the Galil and the Galani that we had, and we burned through them pretty fast. There was a lot of excitement around the guns, and haven't seen any in a while.
Yeah, there's a lot of parts kits out there though. So you see other companies that are building off parts kits with their own receivers and some modifications here or there, but Galils still pop up, and you can still find our Galanis out there for sale. So if any of the listeners are looking for a Galil, you can get one in the U.S. and in a semi-automatic version. 5.56 ones are pretty easy to come by. 308s are very hard to come by and very expensive, but they are out there and you can find them.
Yeah.
Yep.
This episode of the Talking Lead AK Korner Season 2 is brought to you in part by Occam Defense. The guys at Occam love the AK, but didn't love burning their hands, getting cut by their pre-sharpened gun, or the lack of options for accessories. After spending a few years in the lab, they've recently released the ODS 1775, which brings the best of the AR family to the Kalashnikov's reliability. It's still an AK under the hood, AK mags, forged Polish AK parts, but with American aerospace manufacturing practices and ingenuity. Check them out at OccamDefense.com or on Instagram at Occam Defense Solutions. So let's talk about some of the AK, it's based off the AK-47. Let's talk about what the Galil has gone in and improved over the AK-47. And I think Jeremy hit Marco hit some of the key things when he was going over the history there, talking about the barrel, the sights, the actual metal components.
It's an interesting amalgamation when you think about the operating system of the gun. The AK was made to work, and its claim to fame is its reliability. And the Galil shares all the commonality that makes the gun very reliable, but then it took it to the next level in some ways on a lot of different stuff. I mean, you get a better sighting system. I don't think anybody would argue that the sighting system on a Galil is better than AK. It's longer. It's just got a better setup, right? And then then you have an easier to work safety system. You still maintain the dust cover that was one of the things that made the AK reliable, was keeping all the crap out of the system. And then you just made the gun a bit more ergonomic. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds in that sense. And you see people today, from our side with the AKs. I mean, Jeremy and I have kind of friendly competitions out at the shooting matches here, and you see tons of guys with Galils and Galil ACEs and stuff that they've done stuff to, and then you see just as many guys out there with AKs that they've gone and done some of the exact same types of things that the Israelis did with Galil to an AK. They did things to make it more ergonomic. They did things to free float the barrel with the stuff like the Occam
rail systems
system.
On there.
New types of safeties with the Krebs safeties, and all those types of modifications, better magwells and all that. So while the Galil is not an AK, it is one of those kind of it's more a hybrid of a lot of different stuff.
Right, and that's one of the things that a lot of people have to understand is that they took a great rifle and they made it better. They took all the things that perceived as flaws on it, and then they made it better. Now, when you go and do that, you increase what? You increase your cost, which makes it more expensive. So a lot of people are like, Galils are like $2,000, $1,800, $3,000. But if you go and you took an AK and you did all that stuff to it, you buy your $800 AK, then you're getting on up in there into that price range where you could buy stock Galil that's already got all that stuff and say, what are you laughing at, Marco?
I don't think you can hit $3,000 with AK.
Well, not $3,000
unless you put like a canceled scope on it or something like that. But you can get in upwards of about $1,500-$1,600. Yeah, with
you
all
can
the
get
bells and
2,000
whistles.
easy, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's you know people start really getting into it, and I think as I said, I mean Jeremy and I work for competing companies for a certain space of the market, but you're going to have the guys who come to us who really want the traditional AK. That looks like the ones that they've seen in the movies over the years, and then you're going to get the the other guys who are more on the daring side and are going to buy things like the Galil ACE. He's got one above them up there that are that are looking for some of that more different kind of advancement. So it's kind of like there's always going to be AR guys and there's always going to be AK guys, and then you've got these Galil and Galil ACE guys that are kind of in the center.
But there he goes, throwing his Galil out there. But then you got just gun guys like we are. I mean, we like all kinds of guns. We like them all.
Yeah.
So let's go to some of the listener questions. Go ahead, Jeremy. I'm going to go to some of the listener questions, but go ahead. Mark.
He's got his.
Yeah, he does.
I got him everywhere.
And I'm not going to brag about what's hanging on the back there.
No, I see that. That's really nice. So we answered a couple of people's questions there. They were asking, the differences between the AK and the Galil. Tandem Dooley asked, how does newer Galil ACE stack up against the original? So what do you guys do to improve upon the already improved upon AK with the Galil?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the original Galil was a stamp gun correct?
No, it was not. I mean, although they did experiment with the stamped and riveted gun, but the original one was milled receiver.
Still milled. Yep. So haven't done a whole lot of trigger time behind the original Galil. Speaking specifically to our Galil, from talking with the guys in Israel, it's more robust. Way better metals being utilized, whether barrel or receiver system in general. Trigger system's better. Accuracy was a big thing they hit on between the original Galil and the ACE. It's one of the consistent things we hear with the ACE, regardless of caliber, is just how accurate the weapon system is in general. And then we're working on some more updates for a next generation of a Galil at some point in the history of the company too. And we're hitting some points in areas in which that we take from the end user and apply it here. So Margo might have a better idea than I do, but I don't have a whole lot of trigger time behind it. I thought the original Galil was a stamped gun.
No, well, I mean, like I said, there was 2 stages in developing the gun and going actually, preceding what actually turned out to be a Galil. And obviously they captured a bunch of the Egyptian brand new, never fired, only dropped once AKMs, which was stamped receivers. Right, and common from FN FALs, which had a lot of the stamp parts and stuff in it, and they thought that originally the stamped receiver was it. And the initial testing proven that the 5.56 by 45 cartridge actually had a higher pressures, and then so they decided to go with the milled receiver, that of a RK62 finish gun.
Okay.
Very interesting. All right, so FPS Murdoch, that answers your question. Says, does the Galil use a stamped or milled receiver? I've got a couple of 308 questions here, too. It says, how reliable are the 308 Galils?
So I can help you with that. I have one.
Okay.
I've had one for about 15 years. They're actually very reliable. I haven't had really any issues with mine. Not super duper accurate, but very accurate, within the 300-yard range. It starts to get pretty wide after 300 meters or so. Magazines are a huge issue with the 308 Galils. They're very, very hard to find. So if you've got a 308 Galil and you got one mag, that's probably all you're going to get. When they do come up for sale, they're usually $100 to $150 a piece. The issue with that is the magazines are pretty thin. So you do have a little bit of feed lip issue as your magazines get used a lot. So, I've had to tweak my feed lips a few times on the mags. And they are proprietary. So it's not like, it's not like a Set Me mag or an FNAL mag or anything like that. It's a proprietary mag. They're kind of cool, though. They have a built-in bipod, which some of the 5.56 ones do as well. But it does kick like a freaking mule. The stock is not comfortable in a 308 platform, I will tell you that. But, yeah, as far as reliability, I haven't had any issue with the 308.
And yours would be one of the original Galil.
No, original.
Yeah,
so
not an ACE, but
speak to the newer 308s, Jeremy?
So the new 308 runs SR25 PMags, any type of AR-10 PMag system that runs SR25 pattern. Accuracy has been documented all over written and social, right around a minute of angle with match grade ammunition. The barrel in all of our Galils is 3032 CRV cold hammer forged chrome line. If you go Google that steel, it's basically the Ferrari of steel, but that's the only thing they can get. But also they can't afford a weapon system going down, so they put the hardest steel known to man in the weapon system and made it shoot reliable and accurate within a given circumstance. But yeah, it does run SR25 PMags, the current one, the ACE.
Very nice. And I'm assuming that the 308 is scope safe. I mean, as far as that, it's going to hold 0.
Oh yeah.
What about? I mean, go ahead, Marco.
The what's it called? Galil sniper rifle.
Yep.
I mean sniper rifle. Also, I mean, wielded not only by the Israeli Defense Force, but also the Georgians, the Ukrainians, and God only knows whom is there with the sniper units. And that's in 308, and it's a very accurate piece of hardware. So, and it's scoped, obviously, being a sniper.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And same thing for the 5.56s. I would assume that the new ones, no issue with the holding 0 with the scope.
No, I haven't seen it with the 7.62 or any of them really holding 0 repeatability. I mean, like Jason and I said, we show up to events that are AK variant style matches, and we basically bang head to head. And I'm constantly taking my top cover off, showing people the internals, because they always want to ask, like, how close is this to the original AK, or the original Galil. But then in the middle of it, after I'm done, like, hey, I got to go shoot a stage, and I can't afford to lose 0. But I've done enough on-off testing with mine that I haven't seen any real big POI shifts. But obviously anything is possible at this point. So,
Navy Vet Patriot wants to know about 80% receivers. Is that a option in today's market on the Galils?
Not unless it's coming from the U.S. Great, but it's actually harder for me to import an 80% receiver from Israel or any other country, for that matter, than the complete gun. The U.S. ATF import law has caught on to this whole 80%er. And I mean, we have machines here, and it'd be super easy. It would make our life easier to bring in 80%ers if they were like the P80 type systems of the world. But oh no, they have caught on to that, and no, unless it's made here in the U.S., I don't see that happening. And I'll give you an example, and this is probably the first time it'll be on record. But we built an 8.3 7.62 by 39 and a 5.56 8.3 inch barrel, right? The little bitty guy.
Yeah.
And then we build a 16-inch gun, right? Well, when I was in Israel, I was like, who thought 8.3 was a good barrel length for 5.56 or even like the 7.62 with, the Draco's type systems?
Right.
So they've always built a 13-inch, 12.5, 13-inch. And I'm like, let's bring that in. The ATF required a full sample of the 13-inch and in both calibers, even though the barrel length is right in the middle of what they've already approved, simply because they wanted to check the point system off. And I'm like, you approved 8.3, you approved 16. I'm in the middle. Why do you need to see it?
Right.
They've had it for a year.
Oh my gosh. Typical. Cool.
So, I mean, it's just that hard to get weapon systems in the country, which is why we've started U.S. manufacturing, just for the sake of if something does happen,
repeal
where we
NFA.
can't,
repeal NFA.
Exactly. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. But 80%ers, I don't see that happening from us, at least.
Gotcha. Sergeant B. Sims, he says, which caliber ACE pistol is the best caliber? How about the ACE rifle calibers? I guess that's a subjective kind of question, huh?
So here's how I've always worded it since I've got here. And Jason, I came from an M4 style company with Armalite when I was there, and lived with Jacob and all that when he was at Century. And it was always this AR versus AK in the household. If you do not feel like learning a new manual of arms, or you don't have all of the AK ammunition and magazines, buy the 5.56. Your transition to the world will be so much easier. If you already have it or you want a new weapon system, get the 7.62 because you're more truer to the whole system. But the 11.5-308 thumps, and it's just fun to shoot. So if you can feed it, I like the 11.5. I shoot both 7.62 and 5.56 in competition, but I do that because there are a lot of the AR guys who are like, I simply just want another rifle, but I don't want another M4. But I don't want to buy an AK and have to feed it 7.62x39 and learn a new manual arms. I got you right here. Runs M4 mags. It's tried and true. It runs. There's countries that use it as their primary means of defense. Here you go. And we're seeing a lot of the AR guys gravitate to that. But and then on the AK guys, the thing that they have, and Jason, I've got your mag somewhere around here. The things that people hate about our guns on the AK side is that skirt, that plastic skirt, inhibits thicker magazines from going into the mag well. So people are cutting them off, which is why K&S just released that plastic delete kit, which then allows you to run the US Palm mags type system, the thicker waffle mags.
Oh, nice.
So
very cool. So we've got a lot
I feel kind of insulted over here.
Why is that?
Well, because we're all talking about 5.56 and 7.62 when it's clearly the 5.45 is the best caliber for any kind of weapon system. Is the best caliber devised by mankind.
The 5.45
neglected. Yeah,
We'll have a 5.45 system for you soon.
All right.
Get caught up from all this craziness that's happening right now.
Look.
See, I had to bring it up. You guys like definitely sitting on it and hiding it.
Is that something we can say?
Jared, what's that?
Is that something we can say?
What?
Is it
what you just showed us?
Is it for a wide audience? Or?
Israel's always made them. It's just a matter of if, at the end of the day, I think everybody's racing for 5.45 right now, which it's great. I think it's awesome. But Israel's always made them.
So it exists in the Galil.
Yeah, and then I brought some in just to kind of feel it out and see how they run. And, to be honest with you, I had never shot 5.45 until we got here. And I was like, well, that's a really nice shooting caliber in general. And ammunition's becoming more readily available. And from what I gather, the dudes who are about 5.45 have freaking garages full of it. So,
it used to be, the surplus ammo used to flow over here like just like a, mana from the sky, so to speak. And it was so cheap. And ever since they banned that round for importation, I'm talking about the surplus round.
Yeah.
The M505 ammo still remained much cheaper than 223.
Yeah.
It's still a cheap round to shoot. It will reach out and touch someone. And what about magazines? You guys going to have your proprietary 5.45 magazines or?
No. So the reason why I have it to go into detail with it is that I did not the reason why we've never been able to bring them in the country is because of the proprietary magazine. I can't bring in magazines outside the country. That's part of my 922R type stuff. So I sent 100 AK-74 mags to Israel from Magpul and had them tune the weapon system around that mag. And then when I got the weapon system back, I contacted some partners within the industry because I don't own any 5.45, but I wanted the Bakelite mags and all that other all the already mags that are out there. And I wanted to get those to make sure that this ran in the weapon system. And we haven't had any issues.
I have a good number of all type of 5.5 magazines. If you ever need them, just let me know.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. I'll get your contact information, and we're just looking for any type of information as possible. Like right now, Scott from RS Regulate has got one of the 5.45s because he's got a ton of mags too. And I'm like, hey, dude, beat this thing up. Tell me where we need to make adjustments. And he sent me a text over the weekend that said that it's chewed up and spit up everything he's put in it, and it's running every magazine. So I think we're on the right path here. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We didn't want to run proprietary magazine systems. Mainly because we could never get it in the country. Fortunately, Magpul has the AK-74 mag now, and we're off and running with it. The original plan was my plan was I was going to show up to one of these AK events with it and be like, hey, here we have it. How are y'all?
What about Sentry, guys? And then what type of gun is going to be? Is it going to take a proprietary magazine, or it's going to feed off a regular 545 AK mag?
Our gun will feed off a regular 545 AK mag. Most likely, the Magpul would be the one that would come with it, and then later on, we do have our own mag company, so we can work on things like that. I can tell you, for the guys, out there that used to remember kind of the heydays with the 7N6 and all the 545 by 39 just kind of flowing in the country, as you were saying. We get people they're really hardcore 545 by 39 guys, and they're just screaming for an AK-74. And then on the other side of the fence, I get guys who will tell me, I would like one of those guns, but there's no ammo for it. And with Red Army Standard, I mean, the primary source of steel-cased ammunition in the U.S. coming from overseas is Russia. There's numerous factories there. We bring in millions of rounds of 5.45 whenever we want.
Yeah.
So whether we put it on a rolling schedule of every 3 months bring a container in, we could get it is the point. There's no shortage of 5.45 ammo.
Right.
So,
And it's pretty much the same price as it's right in market price with the steel case 7.62 by 39 and steel case 223. We actually currently carry it. We have it in stock in our red box, which is our better premium brand, which is the lacquer case, sealed bullet, sealed primer. We sell a ton of it. Not as much as we would if more people had 5.45 systems on the market. But once people start getting those systems on the market, we'll definitely be increasing what we bring in. So there's not going to be a shortage of 5.45.
Well, I think, right, like it's, you all have a 5.45 in development. I saw that at SHOT Show. We have our ACE that we've built for years, and we're working on doing that. Kalashnikov USA said they're trying to bring online a 5.45, and then Palmetto State Armory said they're working on a 5.45. So it's literally
has
a race.
Kalashnikov even brought an AK to market yet? 7.62.
I don't know.
That's a rhetorical question. No, I'm just.
It feels like it almost feels like a Nirvana 5.45 Nirvana. But the thing is, I'm just waiting for somebody to make a AR platform that would accept the AK magazines for 5.45.
Yeah, I'm surprised that CMMG with the Banshee hasn't done that already.
It was such a natural move from 7.62.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a huge leap.
No, it wouldn't.
I don't know what the demand would be for it, but I don't think it would be a huge leap.
I'll buy at least 3. I can tell them that.
As long as the ammo is
if you buy 3 of them, they'll only be 20 grand a piece.
Fine.
Yeah, because I've even considered having Israel chamber me a Galil 308, our new one, the ACE with the SR25, in like an 18-inch barrel and 6.5 Creed. Just because it runs
awesome.
SR25 PMags, it should be a super transition, super easy transition. Yeah. So it's just one of those things, right? It's like, where do you go with it next? And it seems like people
that seems a logical step is the 5.45, especially in these rifles. So let's go to our next question. This comes from John Adams, the third. He says, what are some of the differences between building an AK and Galil from a parts kit? Do I need any different tools for the Galil than I would an AKM?
So a majority of the AKs that are in the country in the way of kits and being built here, AKMs, just the stamp receiver AKM. So it's different for a milled receiver type of gun. So all the Galils that I've seen that came into the United States as a kids, they were of a milled receiver variety. So obviously you're going to need totally different, A, receiver, B, totally different tooling and jigs and stuff. So it would be different. But other than that, once you attach the barrel to like an AK case to the trunnion, and then rivet it to the receiver, and then in the case with Galil, you attach the pressed in. I'm not sure if it's pressed in or threaded in barrel into the milled receiver. After that, it goes together relatively similar as far as the trigger group is concerned and all the moving parts.
So our gun is pressed / threaded. When the barrel goes in, Daniel Fisher down there in Texas told me that removing a Galil barrel might be the single hardest thing that he's ever had to do. Because it's in there with some force. Yeah, putting it in, having taken apart a few AKs a little bit, there is no rivet, there is no barrel pin. I mean, it's got wrench flats on there, and you got to hold that. Daniel told me he had the AK action wrench type thing, about 12 tons holding the barrel still, an 8-foot breaker bar, and two 200-pound grown men bouncing on it to get it to break loose. And once it broke loose, it was great. But it's in there. It ain't coming out. A lot of people have asked us, like, hey, if I shoot my gun out, how do I replace the barrel? And it's one of the projects we're working on now is we can get temporary re-export back to Israel, and they've got the jigs and the machines to break that barrel out of the receiver. But once you do it, so they put the barrel into the receiver, and then it goes into a jig, and they drill the gas port. So headspace and all that set at that point. So that's what it would have to do, is go back to Israel, a replacement of the barrel, and then from there they would drill your gas port, recode it, and send it back to us.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's going to be a very friendly home build.
No, I would venture to say not.
Right. All right, we'll do our last question here. This comes from email. This is Thomas C., and it's just kind of your own opinion kind of thing here. Galils, like many others, are an attempt to improve the AK-47. Seems like makers want to find the perfect AR-AK hybrid. Is that the right answer?
Who wants to take that? I have my few cents.
What's your opinions on that, Marco?
Okay, so when you talk about improving one particular platform, you have to think about not just improvement, but you have to consider that designers and developers of firearms have their respective militaries' needs in mind. So when they go and they make a change to a design, they do it because their military is asking for it. This is what they're accustomed to, what they trained on, and so on and so on. That's why if you take AK-47 platform, and there's several so-called improvements programs been kind of instituted to improve on the gun. So obviously one of them was the Valmet, the Finnish Valmet, one of them was the Galil, and the other one was the AKM, for example, right? Or the Russian or the Soviet way they went about improving it. So it really and truly, it might be an improvement to one military, it might be the detriment to another, so to speak. So to say that, let's say AK-103, or AK-74M is lesser of a gun than the latest version of, not the ACE per se, but let's say the original Galil newer version of it, or Valmet, what is it, now 95 or whatever, that the new variation of it, is one of them better than the other? You got to ask what the military, that particular military prefers. And one of them will say, oh, man, I don't know which hand the bullet comes out on this thing because I'm accustomed to handling it and operating it with this particular layout or configuration. And the other one say, well, I totally disagree. So you got to look at it that way. So whether it's improved, I don't know, the ergonomics maybe on the for some, obviously the thumb safety or you got the rail on it, but then
I think what his question is, do you think that trying to combine an AK and an AR together is the right way to go? I think that's what they're.
Well,
philosophically,
yes,
is that what?
Of course, yes, but you're not really combining in Galil. You're not really combining the AK and AR as far as the operating system is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
It still remains the long stroke AK system, and the other one is the direct impingement, right? Mm-hmm. So you're not combining or making a hybrid of it, or sort of like some people made the ARs, the piston operated ARs, but in this case, what you're doing is you're talking about ergonomic layout and configuration of the gun. And I would be, being a collector and kind of like I can't say that I'm a AK Puritan per se, but I say absolutely yes. Combine. If you can combine, put some features like the Picatinny rails or M-lock attachments and things like that on the gun, so you can use universally accepted accessories. Yeah, why the hell not? And it's been done, right? The AK-12 now came out, and you can basically take a standard AK and modernize it. And of course, the Galils, the new modern Galils, already got all this stuff on. But what I'm saying is, you're not really combining the AR and AK in the sense of a system, a hybrid system.
Yeah, but not with the Galil, but there are ones out there that try to combine features of the AK with the AR, like the CMMG Mutant is one. Palmetto State Armory has kind of tried to do one similar to that.
But that doesn't really combine the two. All they're doing is taking it to use that magazine. It's not the system that's combining.
Right,
they're just
exactly.
saying take an AR to take an AK mag. The system is still pure AR.
But
it's not really combined.
But I think the question was more about making the AK more AR-like in the way of accepting
I think
accessories,
that's probably what it is. Yeah,
and making it more like a modular gun. Where the newest ACE series of Galils are basically an answer to that. So it's got all the mounting points that you need for any kind of optics, lights, whatever, what have you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I guess
in that way, we're kind of living in the heyday now of being able to do stuff to your AK. I mean, even 10 years ago, there was just nowhere near the amount of stuff that you can modify your AK with to make it, quote, more AR-like. I mean, you can go out, you've got, different handguards with M-lock, key mod, whatever you want from, in various lengths from 50 different manufacturers. You can get, a U.S. palm grip for it. You can put a side rail on it. You can put a Texas weapons system for a Picatinny rail on the top. You can extend your sighting system back. You can put on the kind of crank style sight. You can put a hinged dust cover. I mean, there's a ton you can do. And then you look at something like Jeremy's gun, the Galil ACE, that some of that stuff is, you're as he was saying, he was showing people how similar the guns are. The AK operating system and bolt and piston, carrier, all that type of stuff. But then you got some features that are more AR-like the safety system and the dust cover pick rail and the hand guards and all that stuff. Flash hider.
Yeah, the sights.
Definitely. Yeah, well, I think at the end of the day, right, and people can say what they want, but the general population wants to be the garage gunsmith. So if you can make it user-friendly to put whatever they choose to put on there, which the M4 is the most widely world-accepted weapon system probably, so the vast amount of product that you could put on there, and let's face it, Americans want to put everything we can on a weapon system. So giving them that ability, or other governments that ability, is what's going to drive innovation across every weapon system, regardless if it's of an AK or an AR. So I think it's only going to do good things overall for the AK community and just overall driving innovation. I mean, if you went to SHOT Show, which y'all have, 5 years ago, you didn't see a whole lot of product. I mean, my booth was directly behind when I was at Armalite and Surgeon of Jason at Century, and they were arguably the only ones with AK style weapon systems. This year, you have a lot more people and you have a lot more focus on the AK system because there's people looking at how can we cross-contaminate while keeping true to the operating system. And that's what Marco's saying, is that the heart and soul of the Galil ACE is still the original AK system. We're just surrounding the outer shell with more user-friendly type systems of that. I mean, Magpul didn't go out there and develop all those parts for the AK simply because, we thought this was a good idea. They thought it was like, well, the vast majority of people want to put something else on their weapon system and nobody's making parts for it. So rather than, we don't build rifles, we build accessories, we'll make the accessory. Whereas now the rifle world is saying, okay, how can we cross-contaminate these two and go from there?
Yeah, great point. All right, so anything else that you guys think our listeners need to know about the Galil before we do our giveaway, Jason?
I would say come to an event, Kalash Bash, Red October, you name it. Run them. If we go to an event, we bring the machine guns with us. So everybody loves shooting machine guns, brings the boys to the yard. I get it. Run them. Tell me what you think. If you have a buddy, grab one and shoot it. I think you'll enjoy it.
Go to your local range. Some of them have rental programs like Royal Range USA. They've got Galils there that you can rent and go shoot there.
For sure. And I mean, go try it. Give it a shot. I mean, at the end of the day, you're not going to go wrong choosing quality AK weapon system in general. So pick the one you want, go from there. And like I said, if you see us at an event, come by and say hey. And hey, I heard listen to you on the cast here. So, and give it a shot. I mean, I was, before I came to IWI, I had one AK and I lived with a Jacob. So I had an opportunity to get as many as I wanted.
Jacob.
And even prior to that, I was a buyer for Century. So I bought a lot of Century products when I was in distribution. I have since purchased a lot more Galils, and I have a new appreciation for not only the history of the AK and the Galil, but also just how robust the system is. I was that cool guy, AK versus M4. Like, let's beat heads and let's go to war. Now it's like I understand both sides of the argument, and it's really a user preference. I mean, that's just kind of how I feel now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you after, shooting so much and being out at demos and all that with AKs and having run them, since basically I was a kid, and then, practicing with them so much, I pick up an AR now and I feel I'm out of my element. I'm looking for where stuff is. It doesn't, I couldn't do it with my eyes closed. It's just what you get used to, and then your muscle memory.
Yeah. What about you, Marco?
Well, I mean, obviously I'm the AK guy, and AK-74 is my thing. However, I'm one of those guys is like I also move with times, so it has to be improved, meaning all the outer shell of it, so I can use the accessories that are also used in ARs. But I'm also an AR guy, so I'm thinking the gun is just a tool in your toolbox. And if you decide to run one particular platform, you got to learn it, you got to own it. It's got to become extension of you and stuff. Whether it's AR, AK, and then in Galil, if you it's something that is taken sort of like a robust, solid thing, and then modernize it and bring it to a 21st century. This is the other thing. So it's like I said, I mean, doesn't matter what you shoot, just make sure you shoot it a lot. You learn it, little quirks and little idiosyncrasies, and just be trained on it in case you ever have to use it. But like I said, it's sort of like you go out there and you can pick an AR, you can pick an AK, and then if you want both both best of both worlds, you can pick a Galil. So just like Jeremy said, go out there, shoot them, and see what it if it talks back to you, and if it does,
It talks back to you. I like
and
that.
and if it
If it
does,
speaks
then
to you. Does it speak
right,
to
then-
you? Buy it.
all right, then buy it.
Drew.
AKs rule, everything else sucks.
I will have to say that, since I started this series last year, and that was the whole point, is I didn't know anything about AKs. I wanted to learn more about them just, on a personal level. So I thought, hey, why not just do a podcast on it? So ever since then, my AKs have outnumbered my ARs quite handily. So I still love my ARs, but man, the AKs, there's just something about them. I don't know, the history, the rich history that's behind them. And then, of course, you get into the variants like the Galil, and it just adds a whole nother element to, as a collector, if you're a collector, the collectability of it, and just being a gun guy,
And I tell you here, working for IWI, it's the AK community is just like the bullpup community. You either love them or you hate them. Well, there is no real middle ground. So, like, you either like an AK or you're like, pound sand, I'm going this route. But the bullpup community is the exact same way. They're like, piss on ARs, I'm going with this bullpup. And I'm like, straight. Like, I don't really have an opinion here. So.
See, I always say one thing to those guys, to bullpup lovers. I said, it's easy to change the magazine, right? In bullpup, just reach it right here. Now do it prone. Yeah, so in the conversation kind of dwindles down to nothing.
Well, I like my bullpups too. Got my Keltec RDB 17 there with the new Defender furniture on it. So let's give some shit away. How about we do that? So, Jason, tell them what we're giving away today and talk about it.
Yeah, so US Palm is committed to innovating, all things AK in terms of furniture, our mags, grips, and all that. We love to come out with different colors, different stuff for you guys to customize. So one of the things that we'll be coming out with very soon, and the first person to get some will be whoever wins on the show here is US Palm polycarb translucent magazines.
Nice.
So not only can you see your round count, they're also just cool.
They're just cool.
So
yeah.
Rule
just
one,
cool.
look
just,
cool.
Just for this, just for the sake of being cool, they're really nice. Jeremy and I were going back and forth about competitions and stuff. I haven't been out to one with these. I have shot a ton of ammo through them now that we've been testing them. They run just as well as the other US Palm mags. They're probably actually more durable is what we're finding. The plastic just is that way. But for competitions, I could see, we go from stage to stage and we have to top off our mags and figure out, which ones are full and which ones aren't and all that. This is going to be real good for that for me, for sure. So
yeah,
there you go.
Cool.
You saw it first on Talking Lead.
So we're giving away 5 of those. Is that right?
Sure.
And are they all going to one person, or are we divvying them up 5 different people?
You can do it however you want.
Well,
Your show.
We'll let Drew and Jeremy and Marco. What do you vote on? One
Give all
person?
5 to dude.
Spread the love. Spread the love.
I agree. Spread the love. Give it
Spread
to
the love.
5 people.
Okay, very
I'm
cool.
tired of being on here with you, Marty, and it's going to take forever to draw 5 names.
No, it's gonna be quick. It's gonna be quick because Marco's gonna pull up a random number generator on his
sweet.
Google there.
All right, good.
How do I do that?
Just go to Google.
Okay.
Random number generator. So I have to take me out of it. I've got to take Drew and Jason out of it. So Jeremy, you could do it too, but you're on your phone, I guess. So.
I am.
Google.
I can just give you a number if you want.
Well, I've got 1 through 11, and I'm going to go through while Marco's doing his thing. And
Right. I'm here. Generate.
okay, not
Ready?
yet. So Mustang Perry is number 1. Tandem Dooley is number 2. And these are the people who submitted our questions that we read today. Navy Vet Patriot is 3. Giddy Up is 4. FPS Murdoch is 5. Thomas C is 6. What's this name? SD the Unwoke is 7. John Adams is 8. Sergeant Sims is 9. Jerry Black is 10. and Jay Allen is 11. So 1 through 11, we're going to do it 5 times, and that's going to be our 5 winners. So go, Marco. What's our first number?
4. Number 4.
4. So Giddy Up gets one of those awesome new U.S. Palm mags. Next number?
Okay. Next number. 6.
6, Thomas C. Thomas C. Next?
Next number is number 10.
Jerry Black. JB. Next one. That's 3. We got 2 more.
Next number is 5.
5, FPS Murdoch. All right, 1 more.
It's again 10. So
All right,
should I
so
hit
1 more. Yep. Do it
Yep.
again.
And it's again 5.
All right.
And it's 8.
8. Okay, all right. Looks like this is John Adams. There we go. There's our 5 winners. And you guys shoot me an email, talkinglead@gmail.com with your contact information. I'll forward that over to Jason, and he'll make sure that you guys get one of those awesome mags there. I'm going to send my address, too, because I want one, too. Those things are awesome.
I want one too, Marty.
Do you not got one yet either? All right, guys, there you go. Congratulations to our winners, and I hope you learned something today. If you have any additional questions, shoot me an email, talkinglead@gmail.com. If you got suggestions for upcoming episodes, this is 8, and we're doing 12, so we've only got, how many is that, 3 more left? 3 more episodes?
12, that would be 4, Marty.
4 more episodes left of the Talking Lead AK Korner Season 2. So get your suggestions on guest topics that you want us to talk about, and we'll do our best to make that happen. And thanks to Century Arms for being the presenting sponsors this year of the Talking Lead AK Korner. You guys have been awesome. Appreciate you bringing something new and exciting to the show every episode. Our supporting sponsors, Occam Defense Solutions. I've got my ODS supposed to be in tomorrow, Drew. So
Nice.
we're going to go to Royal Range and pick that up tomorrow. And I'll be doing videos and pics, and we'll get Brian on to talk about the new ODS 1775, their AK 47 that they've got. And then, of course, U.S. Palm and Red Army Standard. So go show our sponsors some love, and they're showing it back to you guys by giving you cool gifts and giveaways every episode. We gave away a Canic last regular episode of Talking Lead. So we've given away 2 Canic pistols. This one's yours, Drew. I've still got it.
I know.
We've given away 2 of those, so you never know what you're going to win here on the Talking Lead podcast. A big thanks to our guest today. Jeremy, damn it, man, I know I kept you from your call. I hope you didn't get in trouble for that, but this has been fun. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on and representing IWI.
Hey, thanks. They'll get over it it is what it is. It's part of the deal. Yeah, I appreciate you allowing me to get on here. Jason, thanks for the invite, buddy. Open anytime to get on the chat, and anytime we can, man. Feel free. You have my contact information, so
Awesome.
Reach out.
Yeah, going to be in touch. And you guys just go to their website, which is?
www.iwi.us.
And, of course, you're on all the social medias.
iwi.us for pretty much everything.
Very cool. Very cool.
But, yeah, we'd appreciate it. And, yeah, we're still in our infant stage here in the U.S., but still rapidly growing.
And Marco, I know you've got, when we were talking at SHOT Show earlier this year, I know you had a lot of things in the hopper. What all you got going on? And talk about your books, too, that you've got out.
Yeah, we're working on actually setting up sort of like a U.S. clearinghouse for Russian-made ammo, and that's going to launch this summer, sometime around July. So we're working on that. We're working on bringing a lot of the PPE, the personal protection equipment, into the United States right now.
Very cool.
All certified, and none of that fake stuff from China. So, unfortunately, it is what it is.
That fake stuff from China is what gives us the COVID, right? They lace it with that shit.
It's definitely not protecting us, that's for sure. But then again, it's all this mask wearing thing. It's I'm not going to expand. I'm going to just Anyway, but yeah, 2 books if anybody interested in learning about everything there is to know about AK from a point of inception to modern days. These 2 books will cover you. One of them is Gun Digest Shooter's Guide to an AK. It's more of a practical guide, and both of them available on Amazon. Just plug in Marco Vorobiev, and you get both of them. And it deals with everything from malfunctions to maintenance to how to carry, how to aim, how to sight it in, and so on and so on. And variants and the how to modify it and modernize it. And the other one is called the AK-47 Survival and Evolution, the world's most prolific gun. It's actually also done by Gun Digest, but it's an unusual format. It's kind of large, and for the first time, they actually tried to do they did the color photographs. There's a bunch of them in there.
So I got really good reviews on that book because you gave that one away to one of our listeners last year, and he sent me an email. I meant to get in touch with you about that, raving about how much he enjoyed that book.
Yeah, because I didn't go back to 1943 or whatever. I went to 1906. That's where the idea of
you did some deep diving.
Assault rifle. Yeah, sure did. I went to kind of into archives and stuff to get the actual information, what transpired and how it happened. And unbelievable that gun actually still survived. I mean, it was constantly under attack by other designers, by other concepts, and it actually persevered. So, and that's about it. So I really enjoyed being on your podcast, and I appreciate
we enjoy having you on all the time, buddy. You're welcome back anytime. Maybe we can get you on again one of these upcoming ones if you're down with it.
Sure, absolutely. Love to do it.
Very cool. And Century Arms, other than U.S. Palm, that mag, what do you guys got going on?
Oh, we're working on a lot of gun projects. Obviously, with what's going on in the world right now has done a doozy on us in twofold. Smaller places that are helping us work on development for parts and things like that are somewhat shut down, and then the others, including our own factory, are running 100% full bore because sales with the pandemic have been unprecedented and continue to be.
Yeah.
So we're scrambling to make guns
doubling
as
up the
fast as
ketchup,
possible.
Right?
Yep, and people, man, when the kind of the shit hits the fan like this, people know about AK's reliability and ruggedness and all that, and that's been a huge hit for kind of first time gun guys go out there and look up something and say what's the most reliable gun in the world, and that's what comes up.
There you go. And where can our listeners send their applications for you guys hiring for all this work that needs to be done? I'm just kidding.
If they're in the Burlington, Vermont area, we would definitely like to talk to them.
I'm sure you would get inundated with applications. Yeah, no doubt.
Yep, centuryarms.com. We are hiring.
There you go. Very cool. All right, guys. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to be on. Marco, Jeremy, Jason, Drew. I'll see you in the next couple of days. We're gonna have some time out at Royal Range coming up. So, all right, guys, that does it for another episode of the Talking Lead AK Korner. Make sure that you go and support those that support and sponsor the Talking Lead podcast, and show them some love on their social medias, on their websites, and the best way to do it is go to your local gun range, gun dealer, and buy their products. So until next episode, guys, Ma Nishma.
See ya.
Later.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much. That was awesome. Great show.
All right. Thanks, man.